Hi guys, and welcome to another edition of The Kevin Moore Show. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, David Essel. Now David is a #1 best-selling author, counselor, master life coach, international speaker, and minister. Now, David has struggled with clinical depression and anxiety during the 1980s, which led him to create powerful programs to help individuals learn to cope with them and heal their emotional and mental conditions. Now, for over 25 years, David has used a variety of healing methods to help people release their limiting beliefs regarding money, their bodies, love addictions, lack of self-identity, and much more. Now, David joins me today to discuss his latest book, Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, but This Book Will. David Essel, welcome to the show.
Kevin, awesome to be with you. I know we're going to have a great time with the interview today.
Oh, we are. This is going to be a lot of fun. Now, I suppose I could ask you the first question until we just, before we get into the background of yourself a bit. Why does positive thinking not work?
Oh my gosh. I just did a seminar last night on how to have a great attitude, Kevin. And so many people, when I was asking them, what's it take to have a great attitude? They kept raising their hand saying positive thinking. If you're a positive thinker, you'll always have a great attitude. And I said, wait, time out. Let me tell you how positive thinking works. When you have a positive thought based with emotion, there is a cascade of chemicals that's released into the brain. Neurochemicals, GABA, serotonin, dopamine, all these things that make us feel relaxed, feel good, feel excited. It's an amazing rush of chemicals, Kevin. However, within about 30 seconds of that positive thought, all the chemicals are gone. If you want to be positive, you got to bring up that emotional positive thought again for you to stay in that mindset of positivity. And then it's going to fade away. If you use the technique that people say works, that whatever you think about, you bring about, whatever you send out into the universe must respond in kind, you're going to exhaust yourself, Kevin. You are going to be so tired and ain't nothing changing. The only thing that can really sustain. Now, before I go further, I'm going to tell you, I'm a huge fan of positive thinking. The first hour of every day, I do affirmations, journaling, meditation, prayer. I am in it, baby. I am having a blast. I'm feeling good. But then I realized that if I'm going to keep a great attitude and be hopeful and optimistic throughout the day, it's going to be based on what I do, Kevin, what I read, what I listen to, who I talk to. Those components are what gives us that great, powerful mindset outside of positive thinking. And in our book, Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, but This Book Will, we state that your positive thoughts are crucial for about 20% of your massive goal. 80%, your thoughts have nothing to do with it.
Wow. Okay, that is very, very interesting. And so, with positive thinking then, I guess there's a sort of benefits and there's a sort of limitations as well.
Yeah, there's some huge limitations, and I have a story that proves how powerful the limitations with positive thinking are. We've got a bunch of them, but number one, a lot of people use positive thinking to keep their head in the sand. We call it the ostrich effect. So instead of dealing with reality, everything happens for a reason, you're going to be fine, there's no mistakes in life, what a bunch of crap. A lot of times what happens negatively is because we make stupid mistakes over and over and over again, but there doesn't have to be a reason. Sometimes we never have a reason why our child was murdered, why we lost the job, why our partner left us. I've worked in this field for 40 years now as a counselor and a master life coach. And there are people that go through trauma and tragedy, losing loved ones unexpectedly, and will never know the reason. So we have to be very careful. If you're too much into positive thinking, you're probably avoiding life, Kevin.
Right. But then I suppose people have beliefs as well, don't they? Do you know what I mean? What about positive thinking versus beliefs?
Great question. So a belief system is something that we carry with us constantly, whether we're aware of it or not. You love Republicans or you hate them. You love Democrats or you hate them. You love religion or you hate religion. I mean, beliefs are something that is in the subconscious mind that is with us 24/7. And so a belief, if it's a healthy, grounded belief, can actually move us through trauma and tragedy. A belief, a strong belief that you're here for a reason might keep you working hard to find that reason. But that's different than positive thinking. As I mentioned earlier, positive thinking has to be re-brought up on a regular basis. But here's something interesting about the world of when we compare, Kevin, positive thinking with negative thinking. Think about this. There is no effort necessary to stay in a state of negativity. Negativity expands its own negativity. So when I have a client that I'm working with and they're anxious about their money situation, they're going to lose their house, they're going to lose, like, that anxiety will build. If they don't do exercises that we teach them via counseling, that anxiety is going to grow and grow and grow and grow on its own. Right? It's like you don't have to do anything. You'll wake up anxious again if you don't take care of the situation. You'll be upset at night if you don't take care of the situation. So negativity is like rabbits. They explode. Those thoughts continue to build and grow, but it doesn't happen the same in the world of positivity. It's a fascinating statistic. The fallout, the default mechanism of the brain is negativity. And this is really important, right? It needed to be. Again, this is coming from the primal source of the brain. In our earlier years, we had to doubt everything around the corner. We had to be on edge all the time because of bears and snakes and tigers and villagers that wanted to take our wives and children, for God's sake. So in the beginning, we were based on negativity and fear for survival. Well, guess what? That's still with us today. That has not changed, And so what happens is people, when they're not thinking or doing good things, we can go to doubt and fear and insecurity just like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And oh man, so many questions here. Okay. So we have to take the action. We have to reach out and take the action sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying here. What about surrendering? What about the art of surrendering?
Oh man, that's such a beautiful word. People run from that word, Kevin. When you say, I want you to, okay, so as an example, I'm a former alcoholic and cocaine addict, serious for 30 years, doing the work I'm doing right now. I never used during my work, always waited until the end of the day, always started work late the next day if I was feeling slow. All that kind of stuff. I would just find ways to work around it, And now when I look at how I used to live out of integrity and in integrity, how did I get there? I had to surrender to someone else's program 110%. Now, that's a lot more difficult than it sounds. So if any of our individuals with us right now are struggling financially or with addiction or in their relationships, one of the quickest ways to get out of your struggle is to find someone really good, a counselor, a priest, a minister, a rabbi, a life coach, or whatever it might be. Find someone really good, ask them for assistance, and surrender to what they tell you to do. Most of us don't like to be told what to do when we're in pain. We want to figure it out for ourselves. So if someone says to you, in order to shatter this financial situation you're in, you're going to have to sell your motorcycle, sell your boat, you're going to have to get rid of your toys. And the person goes, oh, wait a minute, I want to change my financial situation, but not like that. So that would be surrendering. When you don't want to do something, but you've hired a professional that has years of experience, we need to just surrender. I grew up playing sports. Basketball was my game. And, I had all kinds of coaches, and most of them were hard asses, quite frankly, because we're talking 50 years ago, And so the coaches would tell me to do all these things. I didn't want to do any of them. But when I went to play at the collegiate level, my college coaches used to say to me, who the heck taught you these moves? Who taught you the defense? And it was all these coaches I couldn't stand, Kevin. It was all these people that I had to surrender to. And when I followed their path, I got ahead in life so much quicker, so much faster. I love your questions, and I love the concept of surrender because it's so hard and it's so effective.
Yeah, and I suppose sometimes, as you have stated in your book before, the way out is the way through. Sometimes you've got to go through it.
Man, Kevin, you just nailed it. When what we want to do as humans is we want to skate. We want to find the easy way out. We're looking for hacks. We're looking for shortcuts. Everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, most of us are. But as we say in that chapter in the book, and we give all kinds of examples and stories, people who have overcome huge challenges. One of my favorite stories in the book, Positive Thinking Will Never Change Your Life, is Scarlett Lewis. Scarlett Lewis got a call. Now it's about 7 years ago in the afternoon to come to her elementary school where her 6-year-old son Jesse was. And when she got there, she was there to be told that he was murdered in the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. And as she writes in the book, the only way she got through it was going directly into her rage, her anger, her pain, her suffering, her sadness, her grief. And as she went through it, Kevin, and this is one of the most amazing stories in the world, because I've told her many times that if my 6-year-old was murdered at school in 8 months, I don't think I'd be out on the road teaching forgiveness. Scarlett Lewis went so deeply into the pain that within 8 months, she was 80% healed of her rage and resentment and was out on the road teaching forgiveness, for God's sake. That's going through it. That's going into the discomfort. If you're addicted to sugar, alcohol, nicotine, drugs, it doesn't matter. What does it mean to go into it? It means to stop today, use complete. Now, if you're a very serious alcoholic, never stop unless you talk to your doctor, because withdrawal from alcoholism is the only drug in the world, withdrawal-wise, you can die from. But for everyone else out there, to go into sobriety would mean to quit sugar cold turkey today. Quit your drugs cold turkey today. Ask for support, ask for help, but that's going into it, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and again, you have to have the intention behind that to do that as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that plays a large part in your work as well, I suppose. Intention.
Yeah, we interchange the words intention and affirmation together. We think that they're both fairly similar in their meanings. And what we say is create realistic and exciting intentions or affirmations. Like, you've got to put it on paper. Don't leave it in your brain. Up here, it's an absolute waste of time. You might as well just go eat a candy bar instead of trying to intend or affirm here. It just doesn't do anything. But when you write your affirmation or intention down of what you want to do, then you're one step closer, because it's in the physical world, to actually taking the steps to making it happen. And always remember this. If you have a challenge that's been with you for a long time, meaning a year or longer, with alcohol or food or spending or relationships, the odds of us healing a long-term dysfunctional trait within ourselves by ourselves is almost zero. If you could have healed whatever you're struggling with by now, you would have on your own. Since we haven't been able to, now's the time to reach out, get accountability partners, ask for help, ask for people to hold our feet to the fire, Kevin.
Yes, 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 yes. And I mean, obviously, I've heard some of this stuff as well in the law of attraction. I mean, it's some of the same elements are in the. What do you feel about the law of attraction as well? If you want to attract something to yourself using that method, is it something you would promote?
I would tell people to throw it the hell out the window. I think it's a bunch of crap, Kevin. I really do. Now, and let me back it with some interesting information. From 1980, when I entered the world of personal growth, until 1996, I taught the law of attraction for 16 straight years. All right, I traveled all over the world speaking to groups as large as 5,000 people, saying whatever you believe you can achieve, whatever thoughts you put out into the universe that are positive must come back. It's a bunch of crap, okay? I have got a lot of experience in this field. I have a good right to talk the way I'm talking about the law of attraction, because I used to teach it. It never worked in my life, Kevin. in interviewing Deepak Chopra, the late Wayne Dyer, Kenny Loggins, Susie Orman, Jenna Elfman, the actress, NFL All-Stars. There isn't one person that ever told me the way that they teach the law of attraction today of whatever you believe you can achieve, you will. Put your positive energy out into the universe, whatever the hell this universe is. What is it? What is the universe the Wizard of Oz? Is it God? Is it, what the hell is this thing called the universe? You know, so you put it out there and it's supposed to come back. Well, let me tell you this, Kevin, if that was true, the law of attraction I first read about was from a book by Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, was written in 1910. The movie and the book, The Secret, took a lot of his information. However, on chapter 5 in The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles says, without powerful, positive daily action, everything else is a bunch of crap. You're wasting your time. So here we have these people. And listen, Kevin, if the law of attraction was valid, that whatever you put out that you wanted automatically came to you, you and I would not be doing this show. Your radio or your show that you have right now would not be on the air. I guarantee it. Do you know why?
Well, you've got to put the work in.
But the reason why your show wouldn't be on the air is because everyone would have everything they want.
Oh, that's true as well, yes.
I wouldn't be writing books. I wouldn't need it. No one would write books anymore. No one would need a book. All you'd have to do is get your pretty little vision board out, put a picture of your $1 million house, and you are going to be living there. So, Kevin, none of the world of personal growth would be in existence if the law of attraction was true.
Yeah, that is there is a good. I mean, I listen to a lot of. I do listen to some channeled material when it comes to the law of attraction with Abraham Hicks and stuff like that. You know, I find it very, there is some good information in there. But I'm like yourself. I mean, if you're not, you have to have a lot of the other stuff there as well. Like you said, I mean, you've got to. Do you believe in destiny? Do you think some things are destined?
That is a really tough question to answer, Kevin. Over the years, again, my philosophy has changed dramatically since 1996. Over the years, I have moved more away from the woo-woo, esoteric, spiritual stuff. I'm a former pastor of a church. As a matter of fact, I still travel the country as a minister. Next week, I'll be taking over a church that because the minister wants to go on vacation, so I'll be doing her services, so I'm still highly involved in it, but just not at this woo-woo level, where that, and as a matter of fact, the law of attraction, here's some interesting things that the quote unquote law of attraction leaders have told me personally. And they have said, if the path you're on is difficult, you're on the wrong path. Now, that's quite fascinating because what they say is when you're on the right path, everything should fall into place. It's like bliss, baby. It's like the universe is opening its arms and validating every move in life. Okay, I don't know one bodybuilder in the world who is of any metal and who has competitively achieved anything that will tell you that they didn't suffer. I don't know of any doctor of 18 years of going through medical school that would tell you it was bliss. I don't know of any Mother Teresa-like person that would tell you that their work in the slums with AIDS and everything else is effortless. These are all people doing what they're supposed to do, Kevin, and all of them have to suffer and all of them have to work hard. And that's what life is about. Now, when I say suffering, here's the great news. After you get into a model of operation, working with the homeless or whatever it might be, working with addicts like I do, in the beginning, it's really hard. But if you put the correct time in, your path can become quite effortless. When I talked to my friend Evelyn Keeling, who we write about in our book, Focus, Slay Your Goals, she lost 240 pounds, Kevin. Now imagine this. Imagine that you're 240 pounds overweight yourself. Okay. Are you going to be able to lose that weight via your thoughts? Are you going to be able to lose that weight by doing fun things like, eating the fun foods that you enjoy? Because that's what we're on earth for. And that's the kind of crap I hear all the time. And I just say, Evelyn Keeling will tell you losing 245 pounds saved her life. But here's something cool. She did it in the late 40s. And here's something even cooler. In her 50s, she became a bodybuilder. And when you ask her, did she do it via thought, vibration, emotional connection, the universe? She'll say, well, I'm a positive thinker, but I actually cut out all sugar and junk food. I went to the gym, 240 pounds over the weight. I was stared at and mocked by people in the gym. If you want to look at the law of attraction, the definition that we put in our book, Focus, Slay Your Goals, is choose one goal, set up action plans 6 days a week, 1 hour a day in steps you'd rather do. And that's the key here. If you want to lose weight, man, you got to do stuff you don't want to do. If you want to get sober, if you want to make a lot of money, you're going to have to do stuff you don't want to do. So admit it, acknowledge it. Esther Hicks, when Jerry was still alive, how did they become multimillionaires? Did they do it by sitting in their bedrooms and attracting checks in the mail? Hell no. They're on the road traveling their asses off. Those guys, Esther still is working hard. So let's look at what they do versus what they say. And any of the law of attraction teachers that I know that I've interviewed on my radio show will all say the same thing. The story in the book, The Secret, is not their story.
Yeah. Well, okay then. Well, what is the one interview that you did that really changed you in this work?
Well, it was with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Kevin, and he was the founder of Transcendental Meditation. A fabulous, incredible interview, amazing story. In 1996, I'm hosting a radio show with Westwood One, and we got a contact from Maharishi's office. Transcendental meditation is one of the most powerful forms of meditation in the world. The Beatles took it in 1960, and the remaining Beatles still promote it. So Maharishi chose our radio show as the only radio show in 1996 and only media outlet to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Transcendental Meditation. So we flipped out. I was a practitioner of TM since 1986. So 1996, 10 years later, I'm with Maharishi. And for people that don't know him, Google him. Amazing individual. And during the break, we're talking about the purpose of life, the meaning of life, all these esoteric principles. And during the break, Maharishi says to me, David, you keep bringing up positive thinking. And I said, yeah. And he goes, do you love it? I go, oh, my God, I love it. He said, what do you love about it? I said, the affirmations. He goes, are they your reality? And I said, what do you mean, Maharishi? And he goes, well, tell me your most favorite affirmation. And then tell me if it's your reality. I said, okay, here's one I've been saying for 20 years. I am David Essel, a child of God, happy, healthy, and sober today. And I turned to Maharishi and he goes, that's really beautiful. Is it your reality? And I lied. And I said, yes, it is my reality. And he said, good for you. He said, as long as your affirmations are real in your life, keep saying them. But if you're saying affirmations that are not real, then you've got to change it. And this is where one of the biggest changes in my life happened, Kevin, because after he left the studio, I knew I lied to him. I knew that my affirmation was false. I had been saying it for 20 years and I drank every night as an alcoholic. So I can tell you, if saying an affirmation was going to work, it would have worked in 20 years. But I kept saying it anyway because I didn't want to quit drinking. I just wanted to have this beautiful affirmation saying that my work was done, I am sober, and I don't have to do any work. And when we're taught by all these books to say affirmations, Kevin, that are lies. I mean, outright lies. If you have an affirmation that says, I am a millionaire, unless you're earning $1 million, you're lying. If you state an affirmation that you're a size 6 when you're a size 18, you're lying. Now, people don't think this deeply, why? Because we want just our thoughts to create our reality. So no one wants to look at the fact that they're lying to themselves. But if you want to live a life of integrity, step one in living a life of integrity is to tell the truth. Now, in our book, Focus, Slay Your Goals, we tell you how to do affirmations that are realistic. And it might sound something like this. I am David Essel, currently earning $30,000 a year. But through my 6-day-a-week work week that I begin today, in the next 8 months, I will be earning $40,000 for the year. Now, something like that is realistic. Something like that is achievable. Something like that you can say, I'm being honest. But when we put out these foo-foo affirmations that I'm a millionaire, I'm with the love of my life when we're single, I'm living in Bali in a 10,000 square foot home when we're in a mobile home, these are the things that I get very frustrated with because they hold people back. They don't propel people forward, Kevin.
So now that's interesting what you're saying, but okay, then can you create your reality? Can you still create the reality that you want, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I created a reality of sobriety. I mean, 30 years of a full-blown alcoholic cocaine addict. My reality is sobriety. I don't even call myself a recovering addict or a former alcoholic. I'm David Essel, for God's sake.
Yeah, well, but we do though, don't we? We people have those, I am this, I am that. But like you say, you are David Essel. That's your past. Why does it have to be your present moment now?
Yeah, it shouldn't be. We should be living here. We should be living now. We shouldn't be worrying about what it was in the past as long as we move through what it was now. If you haven't moved through it and you're still struggling financially or whatever it might be, you got to do the work. Time heals nothing. It's not going to happen over time. It's going to be dependent upon, am I willing to get uncomfortable? When I got sober, Kevin, it was not easy. Was it worth it? Oh my God, it's been a number of years now. It was worth it, but it was a lot of work. And I will tell you, it was worth every penny spent, every hour in therapy. It was so worth it.
Okay, then. Well, what about, absolutely, but what about the law of karma then? I'm going to switch it just here a bit.
Yeah, I love it. Kevin, you got great questions, my brother. So, you know what? Karma is not absolute at all. It's an interesting philosophy, but it's not absolute. And let us discuss this. So, karma is what we reap, what we sow, which is probably the easiest thing. Whatever happens to us, we deserve because it's something to accumulate this negativity, et cetera. I'm not talking past lives. I'm only talking present life. So if karma was 100% absolute, then here's a question that's going to blow it away and destroy the whole concept of karma. What did Jesse Lewis do at 6 years of age to deserve to be murdered? Okay, if we're looking at karma, karma says we reap what we sow. Jesse Lewis must have done something hellacious between 0 and 6 to be murdered. That would be karma. He deserved it. What goes around comes around. So what does a 6-year-old do who's murdered in order to, and that's what I'm saying. We cannot take these quote unquote laws. Law of attraction is bullshit. It ain't a law at all. Law of karma is closer, but it still isn't a law. There's too many people that evade punishment. There's too many people. I worked with a guy who came into me and he was married for 20 years. And he said to me, hey, I just want to have you listen to my story. I have mistresses. I have a wife and a couple kids, and I deserve the mistresses because my wife won't do for me intimately what I want. And so he was looking for absolution because I'm a minister. He thought I'd say, oh, okay, not a problem. You're right. And I said, well, hey, listen, do you sleep good at night? He goes, oh, I sleep like a baby. Do you drink? He said, no. I go, drugs? He said, no. I said, okay, now here's a person that does not ever believe that he's going to have any karmic retribution. He's been getting away for 20 years. I met with his wife individually. She said, oh, our marriage is awesome. It's great. There's never been any infidelity. There's never been any problems whatsoever. Now, if you look at karma, he's been doing this for 20 years, Kevin. He should have got spanked in the butt by now, but he didn't. And there's a good chance that he will die and not get caught. And there's a lot of people that evade the law of karma. So we got to be careful about this. One of the things on the internet I hate seeing is when people post like, my ex is in big trouble. Karma's going to come and bite his ass. No one gets away with doing this crap to me without karma attacking. It's like, oh my God. First of all, a person that thinks like that, your attitude is going to bring you crap. If you are holding on to resentments in life, you are way behind the 8 ball. And people don't like to see that or hear what I have to say, Kevin. But, sometimes the truth is difficult.
Yeah. I've always thought that maybe, when we do cross over, whatever that reality is when we do go, that maybe the only person that's judging ourselves is ourselves, you know, and maybe, yeah, maybe the law of karma does not exist, but in a sense, we are our worst judge, but we will judge ourselves, and we will be the only judge of ourselves when we do cross over for the actions that we've done. I
Yeah, I don't
mean,
know anything about crossing over because I've never
yeah.
been there before, so I can't comment on that.
No, no, no. Well, I can't remember if I have done. I'm just saying, I mean, my take on the whole thing of, what we are, who we are is, I know this. I feel my truth is that we are more than our body. I feel that thing that's behind our eyes, that our consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it's more than our body. That's all I know. And I try not to put as many labels on it as I used to nowadays, or as I used to before. But yeah, I mean, in everything that you do, it seems to be that you're guided by something, though. Would you say? I mean, you're doing your.
Well,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, please go
Like,
ahead.
it's really fascinating. Like, what is intuition, right? Where does that come from? What is that? And a lot of times, though, we're guided by a past pattern that we have set into the subconscious. It is not the real self, Kevin. And as an example for myself, I'm not here to be an alcoholic or a drug addict. That's not the purpose of my existence. And yet it was the purpose of my existence until I uncovered the reality that why I was an alcoholic and a drug addict was because I didn't know how to cope with my own insecurities, low self-confidence, low self-esteem. I wasn't playing the real David Essel. I was afraid. I was scared. And so my intuition was telling me, this probably isn't a good thing to keep doing the drugs and alcohol. But my pattern had been set in the subconscious mind that no, David Essel, this is what David Essel does, right? This is what David Essel does. So we can make really poor choices our whole life and never get to see, Kevin, the beauty that we are, which is one of the saddest things. I try to be an activist in life. I don't sit on the sidelines. I'm involved with homelessness. I'm involved with children in the detention centers. Not I don't call them aliens. I think we're all aliens. The only people on this earth in the United States of America that aren't aliens are Native American Indians. The rest of us are all freaking aliens, man. It's just the truth. And my heart breaks for these kids in the detention center. So I'm actually on a trip to go down and do my part and to help as much as I can. And that's the real David Essel, right? That's the David Essel that's active, that's engaged, that has no addictions left in his life, and that's what we all have the potential for. I started writing books 20 years ago, Kevin, but not because I had any interest in literature or English or broadcast journalism or journalism. I never took any of those courses, I started writing out of pain. And my first book, I didn't know what to do with the pain. Rejection, addiction, divorce, bankruptcy. I didn't know what to do with the pain. And so in the early 90s, I started writing, only to get it out of me, never to become a book. But here's the interesting thing. Because I was a jock my whole life, I never thought that David Essel had one creative bone in his damn body. So I wrote and wrote and wrote, but never to be published. And then one day, a friend of mine came to visit me at my house. I went in to take a shower. I came out and she's on my couch and she's got a folder in her hands and she's crying hysterically. And I thought to myself at that time, I've got to be the only guy in the world that can have a girl cry when he's not even in the same room. I said, what the hell did I do in the shower? I go, what's going on? Did I say something that I hurt your feelings? And she held up this folder of 300 pages. And she said, David, this must be published. This is not just your story. This is everyone's story. And Kevin, at that moment was the first thought of David Essel as something other than a jock. And all of a sudden, the reality of David Essel, one of the many realities, was coming to the surface. Now, I will tell you, this is something interesting. A lot of us find ourselves after 30, 40, 50, 60 years of doing the work that you and I are talking about. I wrote books for 20 years before we got any recognition. 20 years. I wanted recognition, but I also wanted that pathway to release my creativity as badly, or even more importantly, was an outlet, for me, because I didn't think I could ever be creative. And once I opened that creative vein, I mean, we have 10 books out now. 11th is coming out in January of next year. And if someone would have said to me, you're going to write 10, 11 books, I would have said, you're crazy, because my idea of myself was so shallow and small, Kevin. And that's what most of us struggle with. Most of us, our self-esteem and confidence is in the gutter. And how do we know that? Evaluate your attitude. What are you doing for work? Is it work that you're passionate about? Do you freaking love it? Because your attitude and if you work, you might be retired, maybe you don't have to work. But if you're working and you're putting 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day into something that is not resonating with your soul, you can never be you. You'll never find you.
But then, I mean, some of us have to do jobs just to survive, though, don't we? That's the thing.
Yeah, but here's a great story. Kevin, I happen to have a story for every one of your questions. Have you noticed that?
I love you, bro. I love what you're saying. Carry on, please. The show's yours.
It's such a great question. So years ago on radio, I got a call. We were talking about this, finding your real self. I got a call from a guy, and he was really mad at me. And he said, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I have a family to support. My wife doesn't work. We've got 3 kids. I have to work for the post office, and I hate it. I've been here 30 years, and I hate it. I don't like anything I do, and I have a bad time listening to someone like you saying that I'm not willing to go into my reality. And I said, hey, let me ask you a question. If you weren't at the post office, do you have hobbies? Do you have another side job that you'd love to? Is there something you'd love to be passionate about? And of course, he pushed back, Kevin, because he didn't like me at all. But he finally opened the gate. And he said, well, now you're asking a really stupid question, because I work 8 to 10 hours a day and I have kids to take care of. And now you're telling me I need a second job? I said, give me the answer to my question. Right away, he said it. I love woodworking. When was the last time you woodworked? 10 years ago. Why? I just told you, I don't give me that crap about time. Go back to your woodworking. What do you like to do? I build cabinets. Like for what? Kitchen. Let's go. I tell you, I'm giving you a 30-day challenge, brother. I want you over the next 30 days, 3 days a week, to get into your damn workshop, quit making excuses so you can't get involved with your own reality, and call me back. Kevin, greatest story in the world. The guy calls me. No, most people never call you back because they don't do anything, right? This guy calls me back in 30 days and he said, major apology to you. I am so sorry I ripped you up on the air. For 30 days, I've been in my woodworking. I already have an order from one of my neighbors. I've got to keep doing my postal service job. But he said, you know what, David? It's gotten a lot easier now that I'm doing what I'm here to do. And Kevin, that's the important thing. No, you're right. A lot of us have to do jobs that we don't like because limited education, limited opportunity, whatever it might be, right? But there's still life outside that. And that's what I want people to tap into, because you can be in the reality of why you're here, doing Habitat for Humanity 1 weekend a month, for God's sake. Come to the detention center with me to see the kids, like to hold up signs and tell them that we love them. That's what we're doing at the detention center. They won't let us in, so we have ladders that we go up over the walls. Like that brings me alive. And no one has to agree with what I'm doing. I'm not telling you all have to go to detention centers and support the children, but there's a billion things to do that'll touch your heart and soul and make being on earth worth it, Kevin.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Thank you so much. But then, in your book, you do say in there as well, which is interesting, why we shoot for less than we deserve in life as well.
Yeah, we don't believe we deserve everything I'm talking about. I'm a classic example. I didn't think I deserved a life of sobriety. We shoot for so less so we don't have to potentially fail, for God's sake, right? If we shoot for less than we desire, we're not going to be judged by our friends and neighbors as lunatics or as outliers. If we shoot for less than we deserve, we'll never be disappointed. And we don't want to face disappointment. And what I'm saying to people is that go out on the limb, fail, freaking A, get engaged in life, become alive. Failure is aliveness. You try something and it doesn't work, you're alive. Let's do it.
But yeah, but you've got to stay focused on that goal, because sometimes we can, I hear, well, I hear it in myself as well, but then I hear it in so many people that we spread ourselves out too thin in trying to do everything sometimes. And
That's
we
right.
don't, we never see things through. We don't stay focused.
Amen. In our book, Focus, Slay Your Goals, we say here's your homework. Choose one goal at a time. I'm glad you said this, Kevin. Only one goal at a time. Do not multitask goals. Don't say you're going to lose weight, quit drinking, find a new partner, forgive your parents. Drop all that. Find one massive goal, go after it 6 days a week for an hour, stay highly focused. Do not leave that goal until you see a breakthrough, and then go after the next one. It's the methodology of massive success.
Well, when we say go after the next one, I mean, your goal initially could be quite a big goal, which could take up many years of your life in a sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and that's good. And that's really great. So let's say with me, it took me 365 days to get sober. And that's 365 days in a row of working. That's not like I didn't, like work on Mondays and Wednesdays on my sobriety. That year was a very long year. I was struggling with desires. I was anxious. I was nervous. And in that, amazing things happened, Kevin. A new life opened up. And then look at writing books, 20 years, right? So some people would say, "Oh, you're insane to keep writing," and that's okay if you say that. But 20 years of writing before we got any recognition at all. And it was worth it, Kevin, because here's the thing, without those previous 19 years, on the 20th year when we got our #1 bestseller, the first of four, it would have never happened if I
No.
didn't stick with it.
Well, yeah, but we've lost the art of patience. That's the thing. We want it now, and it ain't like that, is it? It is not instantaneous. Sometimes it's you've got to go through the journey.
Absolutely. When we talk about my doctor friends that went through 18 years of medical school, it's like that's the reality. And this is the thing, again, that pisses me off about the law of attraction. The law of attraction says, imagine a red Maserati in your driveway tomorrow and it must appear. Imagine a multi-million-dollar home. Just put it in a storage center and it must appear. It's like, it's so illogical. So I was on a summit in Australia with a young woman. She had 21 authors on, and the topic was intuition. And so she said, David, we have healers from all over the world that are powerful in regards to their intuition. How would you tell someone if they knew their intuitive powers were really dead on, or if it was nonsense? I said, oh my God, here's the easiest example. If you have strong intuitive skills and you read The Secret or you read The Law of Attraction, you would have put it down and smiled and said that was a really cute book, and you walked away and continue doing whatever you're doing. See, someone with intuition would have said, that's way too good to be true. Thinking about a red Maserati and it appears in my driveway the next day, nah, that's kind of ridiculous. Imagining checks in the mail and I'm a homeless person and I become a multimillionaire, I think that's someone with good intuition, Kevin. But here's the problem. Mass consciousness overrules most of our intuition. So when we see Oprah or other people in 1997 talking about the power of The Secret and how it's going to change the world, mass consciousness will actually smother our own intuitive voice that says, oh, come on now. And we have to be careful of that. Mass consciousness can be your family deriding you to not follow your dreams and to go work and have a secure job. It might be a partner telling you to quit wasting your time trying to become a bodybuilder because blah, blah, blah. Like mass consciousness comes from the media. You are mass consciousness, Kevin. So if you're putting out a great message, people are going to continue to follow you, even if they don't like what you're saying. But if you just like what I did from 1980 to 1996, I was a follower, man. I was a parrot, for God's sake. All I did was regurgitate my guru's words. They didn't work, but I was stuck in mass consciousness. It wasn't until 1996 I got out on my own to Maharishi. And my path, is it easy? No. We get death threats, for God's sake. We get these people that are freaking lunatics because we're speaking out against popular theories that want us dead for, whatever. I went to an event where a guy showed up with a gun. And we had undercover cops all over the event. People don't have to like me. I really don't care, because the only thing that matters to me is helping people become free. And to become free, just like the slaves in America years ago, just like the civil rights movement, just like the Me Too movement, in order to be free, you got to be honest, you got to be real, and you have to work your ass off. That's the bottom line.
Yes. I mean, you see some of these sites that promote the law of attraction stuff. I mean, look at YouTube, for example. There's many YouTube channels that just regurgitate, old law of attraction recordings, or they've got the permission from the authors to put it up, and they do get the numbers, and they do build up quick. And they are, as an example of what you just said, they're attractive to the masses. But as you're saying, is it true? Is that a reality?
Yeah, I wish it was, Kevin. I'm raising my hand. I pray and wish the law of attraction was real. I mean, because I would have everything I want. I would have my third house on Bali. I would have everything in the world I want without ever having to do any work. But let's look at something. I don't know if people would agree with me on this, Kevin, but I think it would be a really boring existence. We would never tap into any of our personal skills. We would never tap into humanity, compassion, service. All we would be is a bunch of self-centered idiots. And that's what this law of attraction crap teaches. Let's be more self-centered. Let's have more affirmations about money and body and sex and lovers and all this other kind of crap. Let's not do the work. Let's not worry about anyone else. Let's just take care of our own material needs. And I think it's disgusting. And then you have the new law of attraction, Kevin, which really wants to make me gag. And I would throw up right now, but I don't want to have to clean up my computer screen. So I'm going to keep my vomit in my body, okay? But the new law of attraction says, oh, we're so sorry. We didn't mention in the first 17 versions of the law of attraction that you need to put emotional vibration into your blah, blah, freaking blah. It's like they are scamming people. Now, many people may not like to hear me say that, but that's okay, because the truth sometimes is very difficult to hear. We don't scam people. We never will scam people. We're not going to tell people that you can earn $1 million by doing nothing. There's a freaking woman on a law of attraction on Facebook that says, join my webinar. I forget what it is, $79. And I will teach you through the law of attraction how to earn $100,000 in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's a scam.
Of course it is. Of course it is. I mean, that's not a reality. That's not a reality. Unless you're going to do something highly illegal, then yes, it could be.
Kevin, I love it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it's that kind of nonsense, that just really irritates me. And I say to people, in 27 years as a nationally syndicated radio host, interviewing the celebrities, the bodybuilders, the athletes, the movie stars, the people in the world of personal growth, Kevin, I've never had anyone ask me or tell me that via their thoughts, they accomplished what they did. A great Wayne Dyer story. So Wayne Dyer and I became very good friends in 1990. The first time he was on my radio show, I said to him, now in 1990, he was a huge hit already, Kevin. He was massive, right? And we got him on the show, and I was brand new to talk radio. We had about 300 cities across the U.S. that my show was heard in. And I get Wayne on this, and I'm just like all over him. I just thought he was the world back then. And I told him, Wayne, how did your first book take off? Like, I'm really interested. And he goes, oh, I've got a great story for you, David. He said, so we get my book published, and, I'm excited, and I'm calling the publisher every month saying, how are we doing? And they go, well, the book sales aren't that good. The next month, how are we doing? We're not really moving anything. He said, David, so this is what I did. I'm living in Detroit. I started driving, and now this is in the 80s, Kevin, okay? I started driving to every bookstore, and I bought every one of my books off the shelf. And I called the publisher later on that week, and they said, you're not going to believe it. We don't know what's going on, Wayne. Your books are flying off the shelf. Every bookstore is reordering and reordering more. And Wayne and I were laughing so hard, because how did he get his career as an author started? By investing his own money his own book sales, right? And so it's those kind of stories that you say when we're hearing this nonsense about all you have to do is put it out there and it must come back in kind. Let's go and talk about Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra, the first time I had him on was 1991. He was a former cardiologist in Boston, one of the biggest hospitals in Boston. He smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Wayne Dyer was an alcoholic and a cocaine addict. I mean, these are people that we have the most respect for, and they had to work through their own challenges. It wasn't given to them. Just like I said earlier about, Esther Hicks, that woman is traveling constantly. She's working her butt off. She should be a millionaire. She works so hard. And I love the reality.
Okay, then, but what? Okay, you love and I love what you're saying there, but what about their content? What about what they're saying, though? Would you, in regards to everything that we've spoken about today, with your understanding of how this works, would you? Because they've got a different take on the end product, haven't they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, totally different take. Well, and I can tell you, if that stuff worked, I worked it really hard. I'm not the only one that doesn't work for Kevin. As a matter of fact, I have yet to meet anyone with a red Maserati that they got 24 hours after they earned it. Okay. I just haven't. Maybe they're all over the place. I just don't know them. But what they're teaching is what they're teaching. If it works for them, great. I don't care about what works for them. What I care about is it duplicable in the mass market? In other words, if everyone can do it, it should work. If it doesn't work for everyone, I have a concern with that. And so we have to really look at what works. And let me go back to this other statement again. Esther Hicks didn't get where she was by sitting in her bedroom and affirming. So she may not say to you that you have to work your butt off to earn $1 million a year, but she's doing it. So let's watch their actions. Let's watch. Now, if Esther Hicks comes out with a book and she says, I decided for 5 years to sit in my room and to affirm millions of dollars, and every year millions of dollars came in, I would say, well, as long as it's not royalty from book sales, I want to know more. Because I don't, she's been on the road so much, she should be making millions even if she did retire. But we need to look at when I look at Keith Mitchell, a good friend of mine, a former NFL All-Pro linebacker for New Orleans Saints. Okay, Keith Mitchell didn't become an all-pro linebacker via the law of attraction. Ernest Graham, one of the top running backs, University of Florida, who went on to play for the Tampa Bay Bucks, was raised in slums with gangs. All of the male members of his family were in jail when he was growing up. Drugs, alcohol, gang-related murders. If you ask Ernest Graham, how did he get out of there? He's not going to tell you it was a law of attraction. He had to make hard choices to not follow the route of his brother and uncles. And so the most successful people in the world, Mother Teresa, let's talk about Mother Teresa. In 2000, they found all of these writings in Italy that Mother Teresa had written and hidden somewhere, where that she continued to scream out to God for years, I can't do this anymore. She was in outrageous depression, Kevin, incredible depression. She kept begging God to allow her to go back to the school that she taught in Albania for young girls. She couldn't handle the pressure of working in the slums, soliciting money, food. She couldn't handle it, but she worked through it. And that's what this world needs to know. The people that are creating massive success are normally doing it. When you read their backstory, they didn't trip into their wealth or trip into their success. It was a formidable opponent, the blocks in front of them. But they continue to persevere, Kevin. The message today is really about that. Get focused. Don't give up. Ask for help. Get some accountability partners to make you do what you don't want to do on your own.
And also as well, there's no age limit on this. You can be 40, 50, 60. It doesn't matter. You can still do this.
Yeah, my dad became an altar boy in the Catholic Church at 72, Kevin. At
right.
72, Now, and here's something cool. He wanted to be an altar boy as a little kid, but he had to work. It was in the Depression. He had to work. His parents said, there's no way you're going to become an altar boy. You got to be out there bringing in money for the family. We're not making it. So he gave up sports. He gave up being an altar boy. And then at 72, when he had his first chance, he went after it, and his dream came true at 72, and he's a megastar. He's 91 now, very frail health, but man, he is a hero to me.
Well, I'm glad he's still with us. That's a beautiful thing that he's still with us. And okay, your website is
talkdavid.com, TALK David.com. When you go there, there's all kinds of free stuff, Kevin. We have a 5-day-a-week video program. People can sign up for it, no charge. David Essel's Daily Video Boost. We have this really awesome workshop, a 1-day workshop coming up called Stop the Madness, where we're going to teach people how to overcome challenges and achieve massive goals in the real world. Books on there, audios, there's all kinds of great stuff. So talkdavid.com.
Excellent. Now, obviously, that's been coming up on the screen throughout this interview as well. So just before you go, just re-emphasize to the audience, because it's important that I got you on. What is the most important message of your work as well?
Wow. Well, first of all, you deserve probably a lot more than you have right now. The reality of life is that when we do what we don't want to do, I keep going back to that first, Kevin, when we do what we don't want to do, what we've procrastinated on, avoided, life can really spring to be this most amazing pot of joy. Doesn't mean you won't have challenges down the road, but you deserve probably a lot more than you have. And I want that for you. I want it based in reality. I want it based in theories that work, not hypothetical theories, not theories that work for the teachers only. I think that you can find your path. But remember, the most important key to you moving on, just like me writing books for 20 years with no validation at all, is that you've got to have that persistent attitude, be willing to walk through walls, and you'll be amazed at how life will unfold for you.
Thank you for everything that you do, and I've really appreciated having you on, and just the short time that we've had together here right now. So David, thank you.
It's been a blast, and you have a great rest of your day.